Garrett? Yep. Crystal?
Yep.
Nikki?
Yeah.
Kurt? Yes. Matt? Dave? Samson? Tom? Here.
Roll call, Greenman.
Gardner. Linder. Smith.
Here.
Milano.
Verification of agenda posting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, again, thanks for those of you who came to the meeting this evening. As we've done in previous meetings, this will be your time for a public forum. If you have any questions, comments, concerns you'd like to ask the board, please remember that the board can ask questions back. So at this time, is there anybody from the public who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move right into the discussion of possible action. We're going to start with the request for a proposal for facility studies.
All right, so we had an RFP process for a facility study for both districts. We ended up with 10 proposals, 10 overall proposals. The facility study committee met on a Monday night to talk about those 10 proposals, and we narrowed those 10 proposals down to 5 that we brought in to interview. And we spent time last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday evening, interviewing all 5 of those 5 facility study companies. And through that process and conversation, the facility study committee would like to make a recommendation to the board to hire a combination of Myron Construction and HSR Architects for this facility study. There are a bunch of reasons why. A lot of the, sifting through all the facility studies and the language in all of them, a lot of similarities in them, and it made it difficult to really find the differences by reading the information that they submitted. But I think the committee felt real clear after doing the interviews that there was one organization or one combination of organizations that shared the most complete package, the most comprehensive package, a team that would give us the best access that are fairly local for assistance, and offered us the best solution at the most affordable price. Their cost for the study was $5,000, which was very competitive amongst all the others. We had ranges from there to honestly the moon, depending on some were percentage based, depending on the outcome of the study. So very affordable, but very comprehensive. They talked a lot about connections to rural communities and focusing on the needs and understanding the needs of rural communities, and districts, which hits home to us. I think that through our conversation as a committee, they connected best with these two, and I think that we can get the best bang for our buck with this combination. Loyal has worked with them for a handful of years and has a good relationship with them. And at one point we thought maybe that would be a deterrent, but it was not. And the committee felt strongly that they are the best for the job that we are seeking.
I would just say, we do have representatives from Myron, Megan Pressbach, and from HSR, Brad Simonson. So if you do have a question for them, now is the time. But the committee did have multiple questions for them, so it is up to the boards. If you have none, then I would encourage to make a motion.
Just so the public knows, I was on the committee, I would like to ask Myron on what is it could be the community involvement, where do they plan on starting if we go with them?
Community involvement?
The bottom is a red button. Hold it. You can help us also with that. Here, great.
I saw it for a second.
You said you.
Oh, there we go.
Good evening. I am Megan Preston with Myron Construction. I lead our education market at Myron. So what that means is I spend all of my time working with school districts across the state in a very similar fashion to what you're looking to pursue. And that's help us understand what our building baseline is. What needs do we have across the board? And then let's make a plan to address those needs, and let's look for funding opportunities. So we work very closely with HSR. We are not who Brad talked to, but we are two separate entities, and we feel that that's the best benefit for the district because we're pushing and pulling each other, right? We're looking out for the district. So HSR has feedback for us, we have feedback for HSR. But just want to talk about the team dynamic quick. Back to your question, Luker. What this facilities planning process is, we're going to have engineers and constructability experts looking at the buildings, but then we're going to take that information and bring it to the community. So ultimately, community engagement starts on day one, and it's going to entail listening to feedback from the community. It's our job to provide information and data, but then we'll create a structured community engagement process that would allow the communities to give us feedback of how we should proceed. So what we believe that looks like today is just a few listening sessions early on. As our teams are going through all of your buildings, they're sitting at the gym in each community and allowing people to come talk with us. We'll have some questions, but that's more of an open forum. What are you looking for in your facilities? When you're here for a basketball game, what do you notice? Do you have kids in here? What's different from when you went to school here? Because I know that's a lot. In a lot of smaller communities, you have people who are generational. So just the talking and listening. But then we'll start, once we start gathering this information, there's a structured approach to a meeting sequence. So we'd be looking for what we call a task force, and that would be representatives from each community. We want a good cross-section. And anywhere from 20 to 40 people in which they would go along this process with us. So they would see the needs, and then they would provide feedback, which would then in turn go into the next option development, which would then go in turn to the next prioritization. So we're providing data, and the community is providing us feedback, and we are guiding them throughout the process. So there is no solution that we have cooked up right now. It's all coming from the information that we gathered through the assessments and the community feedback. Did I answer your question?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything there?
I'm good. I mean, Megan said it all.
One more question here. As we're going through the process, I imagine you guys come back to the board and give us updates as we get to, go from a kickoff meeting to, 50% through the project. And how are you going to keep the boards up to speed?
We are open to whatever you as board members tell us. There are several different scenarios. You can expect that there will be an update in some form at every monthly board meeting.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept stated companies to represent us for the RFP process. I'll second that.
All in favor? I'll make a motion to hire HSR and Myron for our RFP.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Item 6, ad hoc committee reports. Branding committee.
Thank you guys very much for coming. All righty, you're good to go.
Look forward to
Safe travels, yep.
a good process.
I'll just give a little bit of an overview on our branding committee meeting that we had last Monday in Greenwood. So board member from Greenwood, Eliza, and then myself were the representatives from the school board. We met with individuals from Loyal and Greenwood both. We had a really good turnout. We started with just a little bit of kind of ground rules, welcomes, introductions, and then the purpose and expectations for what we were looking for. We wanted to let them know that we're looking for branding, mascot colors, and then we weren't going to be discussing anything else. And then we kind of just talked about what that looks like and when we need to have this decision by. And then we worked backwards from there as far as the timeline. So kind of an overview of what was talked about. One of the committee members had brought together the values and mission statement from both districts, and we kind of collaborated and put it into one. And I think we have it kind of narrowed down, but it was a really good discussion about that. And then just talked about how we're going to get community involvement for the mascot colors and names. So we think it's really important as a committee that anybody and everybody that has ideas to bring them forward and submit them. So we talked about several ways that we are going to get the communities involved in this process. So stay tuned for that. There'll be information that's put out on both Facebook pages, TRG a couple different times, letters sent home with students, a survey that you can take online, QR codes that you can scan to take the survey to submit all of your ideas. There's not any number per household. You can submit as many ideas as you want. And then as a committee, we are going to kind of narrow that down and see what that looks like. And then go from there. So I thought it was really positive, but there's a lot of really good ideas, and look forward to meeting with them. Our next committee meeting is January, so we're going to gather all the ideas between now and January, and then from there kind of compile a list and keep moving forward with that. So Liza, do you have anything else that you want to say about that?
The only other thing I would add is that we do have a deadline of January 5th to get your suggestions in. So we set up a email address also as another option besides the QR code and survey. And then you can also submit paper copies to the different offices. So we're welcome and open to any and all suggestions.
We are
Name,
going to
mascot, and colors is what is specifically what we're asking for right now.
Yes. And then just to add, so you'll be seeing something from home. We have to kind of tweak the form that's going home with families or kiddos, but that's going to be going out probably within the next week, I would think. We just have to get those to the offices and sent out, and then you'll see it on social media, and we'll post it or make sure it's posted several times. But I would say within the next week, you'll start to see ways that you can submit ideas. So. And thank you to the folks that joined the committee. I think it's a really good group, and we appreciate your time. So.
Anything else to add on the branding committee? Okay, let's talk about the community partner business relations.
Those are Dee Linder and Tom Bodine. So if you guys would just
So we're working on looking at ways that we can be more involved, more engaged with our business partners in both communities. One of the things that we did last week to get some ideas on what some other schools have done is we were able to tour 2 schools that had some additional opportunities for their students and how they involve their business community in that. One was Whitehall Schools. They're also working with, it's kind of a consortium, it's Whitehall, Arcadia, Independence, and Blair Taylor. So we went to Whitehall and toured their emerging technology facility. And right next to their school, it was just to give you a background, it was a lumber yard or lumber supply business, building supply business that had gone out of business, and they were able to purchase that building and really turn it into a technology-driven classroom with lab space as well. And so they're looking at emerging technologies. One of the things, just some ideas, was they had several different classrooms within that structure, but they also had some areas where students could work on various projects, and one which I'm not sure if any other schools around here have allowed their students to work on drones, but they were actually able to work with drones, to fly them in that facility, had netting around it, and if a part broke off that drone, they could basically produce that part because they had the machine that would be able to do that. Just like we've got a machine similar that is used in our school that can produce parts out of plastic. So then we went from there. We also went to Relieva Strum, and they have Cardinal Manufacturing. This has been going on for, I believe, approximately 10 years, give or take, and they are actually have right within their technology area, their shop, they have a business structure where they are producing parts, and it is run by the students. They are able to work on those parts, produce them. They have different job responsibilities, and the money that is raised with not only manufacturing just parts, but also producing items that community members request. They are able to not only fund their entire technology area, but they are able to allow their students to earn a wage and have an opportunity to make some money. So those are just some ideas, but how it pertains to us, we just wanted to get some ideas there, and it's kind of an extension of what we saw over at when we did the tour this summer of the facilities in Luxembourg, Casco, in their technology area. So just to get some ideas. From here, we're going to be talking more with the technical colleges, and I believe UW Stout has a program that's kind of geared towards new technologies, and find out how they can possibly assist with some programs, but then start talking to some businesses in our communities to say, what are your needs? Where would you like, if we could offer something that would allow students to gain some experience, become better able to go into the workforce in your particular business, how can we assist in that manner? So what can we do in addition to what we're currently doing? So I guess turn it over to the other members that attended.
So what I would add there, and thank you, Tom, you did a great job there. Engagement was one thing that I saw in both facilities. I believe at Whitehall there was 3 teachers in amongst the students, but when they entered that building, they knew what they were doing. They went right to work. It was very nice to see that engagement, and the teachers were there more as a guiding. And as we talked to them, they said at times they don't give the answer. They kind of make the student work for that answer and work their way through the process. In Cardinal Manufacturing, so kind of how that worked, which I thought was interesting, was the first 2 hours of the day, the students that were, and I think there's 21 of them in that class, their first 2 hours are running this business. And again, the engagement was there, but really, I looked at that business as a way of teaching the life and the career skills that they're going to need down the road. They say when they bring 7th or 8th graders into the tech area for the first time, they spend about a month focusing on, they got 5 posters in there that are really their rules for Cardinal Manufacturing. And it's simple things like being on time, being engaged, those types of things. And I really see Cardinal Manufacturing more as the way to bring those life skills out in the learning process. You know, Tom mentioned that they can actually earn a wage, but they actually, if they show up late too many times, or I think every time they show up late, there's a docking from that stipend that they get at the end. So again, it's, you know, life skills, real life results. And they said if they run into something that they haven't run into before, they ask the question is, how would a real business handle this? So it was nice in both facilities to see the engagement, and I think while we were there was a student that came in on his study hall and was working on some of those parts to get ahead of the process. So I don't know if anybody else that wants to add anything, Jamie. So yeah, I think from here, I don't exactly know how this all feeds into the business partnerships yet, but it's given us ideas.
Really where it ties in the business partnership is the employability skills and making sure that we use things like robotics and drones and highly engaging curriculum to figure out what our businesses want and need and what they're looking for in employees. First and foremost, it's probably just showing up. But it's using some of those highly engaging tools to work on the durable skills, the employability skills for our kids.
And I would agree, it was really neat to see watching kids from 4 different schools come into this area. And they weren't directed, they just came in, started working. There was a little bit of talking, but I think it was more about what they were doing, just very engaging. We also had some older elementary and middle school teachers go into some classrooms where they are dealing with some emerging technologies and really watching how their students are engaged in some of this work, and brought it back and shared it with some of our staff, with our staff. So I thought both sets of teachers came away with a lot of good information there. So just very highly impressive things that that committee is kind of working towards. What can we do with our kids, with our businesses for our kids?
When is this committee anticipating its first outreach with local businesses?
We have a time frame,
Yeah, this is gonna get here quicker than we all know. So it's gotta be sooner than later.
We'll work on that. We are. So, next phase, number 7, the consolidation plan. Obviously, we have a generic or a draft of a plan that I handed out is in your stack. Mr. Green and myself think that we need to, along with that feasibility study or facility study that I believe HSR and Myron will be here. They're already talking about getting together next week here and starting to get going on that. So we believe that we need to start taking and chunking this plan every month, looking at something and making something a plan, working towards something on this plan. So not to say this is the plan, but it's a draft of that we can, a template that we can use to help follow. So any ideas, concerns, questions? Where do we want to start?
Is there anything, or do we know what the timeline is as far as needing to elect board members? And I'm looking at this, going down the list of things. I feel like deciding the number of board members and from what areas or however we want to set that up is something that we could, I don't want to say easily tackle, but it's something that can be done without needing to know some of the other things that we're waiting on. So is that?
Yeah, the timeline is, it has to be part of the plan that we would take to voters in November of 26.
So
The board elections, then I believe would be in, if everything passes, would be in April of 2028, prior to the start. Remember, that's that awkward time where you have, is it 2 or 3 different board elections all at the same time? But that would be April of 28 is when the election would be, but I would think that's,
So is that
if there's an
something-
easy part, that's probably the easiest part to start talking about how many board members do we want. I mean, I don't know that you can make, well, no, you would have to be part of this plan. You know, figure out how many board members, it's either 5, 7, or 9 by statute, and then how would you want to organize those positions to be equitable? Is
Put
equitable
that on our next agenda.
for conversation?
Yeah.
I see, you know, the way it's set up right now, I have a disagreement with it, because it's not a new combined school district, the way this board is set up. I think according to state statute, that you need to put a demographic map over, and these 2 school boards should sit through, and everybody should be from a represented area. I think it's one new board, not us and them and.
This is just a template. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, I understand this is just a template, I think the board needs to put this together, and that's my suggestion.
That's what we're gonna start talking about next month, right?
Yeah.
So is it,
Bring your ideas next month.
Okay.
does Loyal right now, are you guys have seats based on geographical areas, just like we do? Okay.
Next one.
I just have a question. I know we talked a little bit about the branding committee, and we threw out, Eliza, a date where we want to have the name and stuff finalized. Does the board have any input as far as like, when do you think we should have that come back to the plan? Because we kind of just threw a date out there, but is there any input as far as when you think we should be like, yeah, this is going to be the name, this is going to be the mascot, these are going to be the colors?
What did you have for a potential date?
Did we say July 1st? June 3rd?
April 1st.
I mean like final, wasn't it?
I think it was June 1st.
June 1st, okay. Is that fine with everybody, you think?
I see why not. I was just thinking that we just gotta have it before the election. You know, the yes or no vote.
Yeah, but when we go to the public with the plan and all the information, we want to have it, we just want to make sure people are aware, so.
Got it.
Okay, sounds good.
So my understanding is the name is the only thing that needs to really be on there, correct?
The main live stream joint board meetings. This will be a continuation of the discussion that we started at the last board meeting. I know it has been discussed at the Loyal board meetings. We do
that correct? Did
I was just gonna say that my opinion would be to keep them live streamed until we're consolidated completely. Only because the vote finalizes what we're doing and gives us permission to continue to move forward, and it really seals the deal, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to be talked about, and I think it's best for us to continue to live stream it, so that's just my 2 cents, is that I think it should be until we're consolidated, until day 1 of the new district.
I agree too with that, until the consolidation.
I think it should remain on. It just helps with transparency in the community.
I'm a little bit indifferent with the rest of them because as we find new information out, us as board members might have changed our mind. And that isn't us being wishy-washy or hiding anything from anybody, but when we find more information out, now we need to explain to the public why we are doing it, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that.
And I guess after hearing, people's concern, or perception that it wouldn't be transparent if we weren't keeping it available or available in the archive that people could have access to. I guess I changed my view that it probably is important to keep it out there. I hope that people are continuing to see the most recent meetings, and again, as Kirk pointed out, that things could change, but that the most recent meeting hopefully has more information or more updated information. And certainly I don't have a problem with keeping it available through consolidation.
From our end, it's transparency. We see all this stuff, it's all online right now. All we're saying is this can be recorded, people go back and watch it, right? So I think it's for the best. Right? So I'm in full agreement.
I guess I would like to find a middle ground there. To the same point as, through this process, I've changed thoughts and opinions a couple times. As you gain more information, and we have conversation and we learn. I would prefer the more recent information be out there versus something that's a year and a half old that we're looking back at. I wouldn't have a month, I think right now it's at 1 month. I wouldn't have a problem with extending that to have it out there longer. I think leaving it out there for 2.5 years is, probably too much. So.
We do have to understand that I think there's intelligent people that live in both communities. And if somebody comes up to me and says, by the way, I'd like you to clarify something you said in 2023, we're going to have a discussion, right? I mean, to be fair, right? I mean, there's got to be some accountability from the public on this, right? I mean, and I feel like there hasn't. It just is, for me, the negatives for not having it out there forever outweigh the positives of us having it out there and have a conversation with somebody that might not understand something from 2 months ago, right? It just alleviates that entire problem right there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, to your point, Dean and Kirk as well, we're gonna constantly be making decisions and getting more information and evolving in this process, and there are things that I've learned just being on the board the last few months, and I've said it openly to a lot of people that I've, kind of changed a little bit of how I feel, or I've gained more knowledge, and conversations that we have now might look different in a year from now, but I just think, so I agree, I know what you're saying, but I just think that, like Sean said, it outweighs, the positive outweigh the negatives in this situation. We want to be as open and transparent with the community for as long as possible through this entire process. We want everybody on board with us. We keep talking about how we want to keep this train moving forward, and we want everybody's support, and I just think this is one way to be able to give them that, is so they can watch it and have all the information to them for as long as they need it. But again, if there's something that somebody has a question that says, hey, you said something 6 months ago on this meeting, I'm gonna say, yeah, I'll go back and rewatch it, and then I'll let you know what I meant by that. But I think we can kind of maybe squash some of that as we go, so.
I agree that I think transparency is really important, and we want to involve our community in this as we go. I'm just speaking for myself. Part of me kind of digging my heels in a little bit is like making us compromise a little bit, because we're coming from, well, we like our community being involved by talking to us, and you guys have done a great job of being open to your community by letting them watch at home, and that's your choice as a district, and this was our choice as a district, and I would like to meet a little bit halfway instead of just, we're doing what, you know, I'm just being honest. I don't think that people are just sitting at home watching meetings from years and years past for fun. I do think that that if they want to look back, great, like, good for them. I'm glad that they're interested. So, I don't know what that middle ground has to be. I'm fine with more than a month. I'm fine with 6 months. I'm fine with a year, whatever. I just don't think it's more about like us learning how to compromise with each other and figuring out like it shouldn't always have to be just, well, this is what we want, so we want us to, like, we're gonna be stubborn until you come to us, and now this is what we want. You're gonna be stubborn until we go to you. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thoughts on, thoughts on going through next November of 26, having it available, and then after the vote, you can go from there. We can take a look at it again if need be.
And I don't want this to get, this should not be a negotiation. If it makes sense that this can eliminate people saying that we aren't being transparent, it's a slam dunk. It doesn't matter if we decide, if we brought it up or if you brought it up. That's working together. At minimum, it has to be, they all have to be available until a referendum. And then we can come back and we can talk again. But if you can put to rest one of they took that board meeting down because they said something they shouldn't have and we were going to catch them. If you can put that to rest by leaving the board meetings up, because I agree, nobody's going to watch them. But you can tell them, go and watch that, because we didn't take it down because we said it before, we say it all the time, I'm not hiding anything. And I truthfully believe we aren't hiding anything. So at minimum, they got to stay up until 26, and then we can discuss, or the new board at that time can come up with a joint policy or the new policy. There won't be a new board yet. Yep.
Actually, there would be. So after there would be, because there's an election, right, in between now and then. So there could be some new board members. The other thing is, remember, but you will act differently then also. So after the resolution passes in December, if it passes in November and you adopt a resolution in December, then the joint board is a combination of the 2 boards in your one voice. Where now you're operating still as 2 different boards. So if you're making, that makes a little bit of a difference. Like if you take something to a vote, now you have a 14-person board making decisions for the consolidated district instead of a 7-person board and a 7-person board having to agree. So the dynamics change a little bit of the board, or joint board meetings making decisions for the consolidated districts. That changes the dynamics a little bit. That's all.
joint board videos up until November of 26th.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to leave it up till 26th of November. All in favor? Opposed?
I need a motion from the oil board.
I'll make a motion to leave the live streams up until November of 2026. But I would like to put in there our motion, if we can, that we, in November of 2026, when we are operating as a joint board, we can talk about this again. That's a really long motion.
I've got a motion in a second.
I'll second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. You guys are good with that addition?
Do we have to rescind the old motion first? I think you can still do it, but I do think you have to rescind. We have to rescind the old motion, just to be able
Does the person who made that motion have to rescind?
if you remember who did.
I don't think so. It was voted on by all.
I might mention,
Yep.
I make that motion to rescind the original.
And I'll second it.
Motion to rescind 2 months ago's motion was made and seconded. All in favor? Opposed?
Technically, the motion that passed was 1 month. So I think we should.
I already sent the previous motion on the live streaming 2 or 3 months ago. We had.
I'll second that.
So just abstain. All right, so I have a motion and a second to rescind previous live streaming. All those in favor? Aye. Are we good now? Okay, and now we're gonna move into public forum. Any questions after what just transpired?
What did we agree to now?
We are going to have all meetings, joint meetings, live streamed and online until November of 2026. At that time, after the vote, we will discuss again what we do with the continuation of that. Yep. Any other questions from the public?
Even if they're taken down, they will subject to records. So they retain.
Yes.
Yes.
They are archived.
Okay.
Yep.
So even if somebody wanted them, they're taken down, they request it.
Yes. Yes.
Just let us know.
Any other questions? All right, let's look to set the next meeting dates, times and topics.
December 25th? No? Yes, I would. Leftover Christmas cookies for everyone.
December 10th, second Wednesday. December 10th, second Wednesday.
That'll be a great one.
7 or 7:30 in Greenwood. Do you want those, so same format?
Correct.
Okay.
We'll do 6:30 closed, 7:30 meeting in Greenwood, December 10th.
Closed will be down in our boardroom, down by the main office. And then
Close will be at 6:30.
correct. Open session at 7:30 will be in the cafeteria. On the list right now, I have facility study update. This is something we need to probably talk about at some point because we talked about it before to bring back in December. Is the resolution to consider consolidation, committee updates, and board organization from the consolidation update. Anything else that we need to put on it? That's enough? Sure. Good question. I think it was baseball up for discussion at the December meeting. You have committee meetings prior to that, everything, right? So we're gonna put that back on. I think it was just baseball for now, right?
I'm asking the rest of the board, is it too early to talk about making sure we're on track for next year's bell schedule? Put that on the agenda, to talk about it.
So they are meeting 18th November.
Okay.
So I believe that is on there. Would you guys be able to have an update for the December meeting on where we're at? Bell schedule? Yes? All right. Thank you. Yes, we'll have an update.
All right, hearing no other topics or discussion, I'll move forward on a motion to adjourn. Kurt makes the motion, second by Nikki. All those in favor?
Make a motion to adjourn. Nobody heard you on the live stream.
I heard him and I'm taking
Motion was made, seconded. All in favor?